Your father retired at 65. Your grandfather too, if he made it that far. You have always assumed you would do the same. Work hard, save, stop at 65, maybe 67. The plan was always roughly that. That plan was written in a different world, not a worse world. Just a world with different numbers, different life expectancy, different workforce size, different economic assumptions. The retirement contract, the implicit promise between workers, employers, and governments about when you get to stop, was designed for a set of conditions that are now changing faster than the contract can keep up. And AI is not the only reason, but it is the fastest. In 2026, the United States made the final scheduled increase in its full retirement age to 67. Denmark is heading to 70 by 2040. And something else is happening that almost nobody has connected to any of this. Something that, once you see it, is very difficult to unsee. The story most people are hearing about retirement goes like this. People are living longer, so the retirement age needs to go up. It is a math problem. Governments are solving it. That story is incomplete in a way that matters. As of April 2026, Americans collectively had $20.82 trillion invested in index mutual funds and ETFs. That is the money sitting in millions of 401k accounts, pension funds, and retirement savings plans across the country. And at the end of 2025, 41% of the S&P 500's total market value was concentrated in just the top 10 stocks: Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Tesla, Nvidia, the companies at the center of the AI transformation, which means that the retirement savings of the American worker, the money that millions of people are depending on to stop working someday, is now substantially invested in the companies building the technology that is reshaping the labor market those same workers depend on. The people whose jobs AI threatens are funding the AI that threatens them, not deliberately, not by choice. Through the index funds, they were told were the safest, most diversified way to save for retirement. Take a moment with that, and then ask yourself, does your pension fund know this? Do you? The retirement contract has a structural contradiction built into it that nobody designed and almost nobody is talking about. In 1935, Franklin Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act into law. It established 65 as the age at which American workers could claim retirement benefits. There was a number that nobody mentioned in the speeches that day. The average American life expectancy in 1935 was 62 years. The retirement age was set 3 years above the age most workers were expected to live. This was not an accident, it was arithmetic. The system was designed as a safety net for people who outlived the average, not as a universal retirement program. The architects of Social Security never imagined that most workers would actually collect benefits. They designed a system where most people would die before they qualified. That is the contract that was actually signed in 1935. Not the one most people think they inherited. A safety net, not a promise. Life expectancy in the United States is now approximately 77 years. In many European countries, it is above 80. The arithmetic that made the original retirement contract work no longer applies, and the system has never fully reckoned with that. In 1983, Congress raised the retirement age from 65 to 67 over a 42-year phase-in period. That phase-in completed in 2026. It took 4 decades to move the number by 2 years. The world changed faster than the contract could. Sound familiar? AI is not a slow change. And the retirement systems built on assumptions about workforce size, wage growth, and productivity that AI is now rewriting are facing a version of the same problem, just compressed into years instead of decades. The World Economic Forum estimates the global retirement savings gap will reach $400 trillion by 2050. $400 trillion. Let that land for a moment before we move on. The Social Security Trust Fund in the United States faces projected depletion in the early 2030s without legislative changes. At that point, the system would only be able to pay approximately 77% of scheduled benefits. Across the OECD, the average retirement age is already moving. Denmark reaching 70 by 2040 is not an outlier. It is the leading edge of a policy shift happening across virtually every developed economy simultaneously. The Netherlands links its pension age directly to life expectancy. As people live longer, the retirement age automatically rises. There is no vote, no debate. The number just moves. A Transamerica survey found that 9 in 10 working Americans plan to ignore the conventional financial advice of waiting until age 70 to claim Social Security benefits. They cannot afford to wait. Retirement systems are funded by workers paying into them. More workers, more funding. Higher wages, more funding. Higher productivity, potentially more funding. AI is reshaping all three of those variables simultaneously, in ways that no pension system was designed to handle. The retirement contract assumes a stable workforce. AI is not a stable variable. So what happens when the variable changes faster than the contract? Here is the dimension that almost no retirement policy discussion is including. The countries most aggressively raising their retirement ages are not the ones most likely to solve the underlying problem. The countries using AI to grow their way out of it are South Korea, Singapore, and the United Arab Emirates are using AI-driven productivity growth as an explicit component of their pension sustainability strategy. The logic is simple. If a smaller workforce can produce significantly more economic output per person because of AI augmentation, the math of pension funding changes. Not by cutting benefits, not by raising ages, by making each working person economically more productive than any previous generation in history. That is the bet some governments are making. And it is a fundamentally different answer to the same problem. Singapore's Central Provident Fund has already begun integrating AI productivity assumptions into its long-term actuarial models. The Netherlands APG, one of Europe's largest pension managers with over 550 billion euros in assets under management, has invested significantly in AI infrastructure companies. Their models show that AI productivity gains are the most viable path to pension fund sustainability. The paradox completes itself here. The pension funds investing in AI are not doing it despite the disruption to workers. They are doing it because AI productivity growth may be the only way to keep the retirement promise at all. The retirement age was never 65. It was always, however old you are when the arithmetic stops working. The signal is not in the political debates about retirement age. It is in what people in their 30s and 40s are quietly changing about how they think about work. The assumption that a career ends at a fixed age is being replaced by something more fluid. People who understand what is happening are not planning to retire at 67 and then stop. They are building income streams that do not depend entirely on a single employer, a pension system, or a government promise. The financial advisors seeing the clearest picture are the ones telling clients in their 40s not to plan around Social Security as a primary income source, and to treat any government pension as a supplement rather than a foundation. And the countries getting this right are the ones investing in AI literacy and AI-augmented productivity, not as a technology strategy, but as a retirement strategy. A worker who can do twice the economic output with AI assistance is a worker whose pension contributions are worth twice as much to the system. The retirement contract is not being cancelled. It is being rewritten. And the people who understand the new terms before they are officially announced are the ones who will navigate it most successfully. if you want to keep seeing the next layer before it becomes obvious to everyone else. This is where that happens, every week. Before the mainstream catches up, your father retired at 65. The world he retired into had been built around a promise that was made when most workers never lived long enough to collect it. That promise has been quietly renegotiated ever since. 66, 67, 70 in Denmark by 2040, and the renegotiation is not finished. It is accelerating. The retirement contract was always a document written in pencil. Life expectancy changed it. Demographics changed it. Now AI is changing the workforce assumptions it was built on. But here is the thing about contracts written in pencil. The people who read the fine print before everyone else are the ones who get to rewrite their own terms. The retirement age of 65 was never a fact of nature. It was a number chosen to match a set of conditions. Those conditions are changing. Now you know which conditions, and roughly how fast.